Alrighty. Says we're live. We'll get started this Sunday morning, and hopefully we can get some people in here right quick and get to talk about everything that's been going on in the world this week. The cost of fuel has gone up. I've noticed that real quick. Hey, Jerome, how are you this morning? Glad to see you in here. Yeah. Now, Jerome, you're a truck driver, aren't you? Aren't you a truck driver? Am I just reading this wrong? I can't remember. Um, well, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I thought you were a truck driver. Yeah. Have you noticed the cost of diesel fuel jumping this past week? It jumped. I think it said 5.2% nationwide. I've noticed it a good bit in this area. It had been fairly reasonable in the Carolinas, and then I saw it. Uh, how about nobody? Well, that's Patrick, isn't it? Hey, Patrick, how are you this morning? Um, yeah, I've noticed that um, it's jumped about. Well, let's see. It was all the way down to 439 in one area, and now it's up to almost. I mean, 339. Now it's almost up to $4 in that area. About 60 cent. Yeah, that's what I've seen. Anywhere from 40 to 50 to 60 cent, and it just depends on the truck stop or the, the fuel stop or whatever. I mean, some of them are really trying to break it off in people. Some of these truck stops, especially. I mean, these mom and pop stores, they're fairly reasonable. That's where I fuel at. I got one down here in Grover that I usually get fuel at, and the fuel is reasonable there. Uh, but gosh, these trucks and the truck stop right beside that place is like 30 or 40%, 30 or 40 cent higher, just because they can service the big trucks. The little service station, of course, they can't service the big trucks. They've got a shed and just parking for just cars, and they can't get a big truck in there, and they've got their fuel really reasonable. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame that they're doing that. That's for sure. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame that uh, they're trying to take advantage of the small person and everything, and or even the trucker. I mean, the truckers are limited to where they can fuel up, and these truck stops know that, so they're jacking them up. I mean, you got Flying J's and pilots and all these other uh, I don't know what all's left out there now in the trucking world, but they're really taking advantage of it when they can. Hey, Jeff, how are you? Well, they said that some of the Saudi places, Saudi Arabia, and some of them have cut back on their production. So they cut back on production, boom, immediately. The fuel people over here are going to cut back, regardless of what it's actually hit the pump or whatever. I mean, they do theirs immediate, and so when the supply chain is curtailed, then that's what they're going to do, and demand's still up. So when the demand's still there and the supply chains cut back, that's one of the reasons, and that's what they're doing right now. I mean, they're socking it to the little man again. Yeah, well, we're always going to be dependent on oil, probably the rest of my lifetime. I don't know about my grandsons. I mean, I really don't see how we're going to get away from big diesel engines and productive things like that. I mean, I know that everybody's trying to justify, going electric and everything, but we just don't have the infrastructure. I mean, they're just now rolling out the Tesla trucks, which seem to be performing well and that sort of stuff. And I hope they do. But the infrastructure, I mean, you think about it, all the infrastructure we got for fuel distribution, we're going to try to have to rebuild that for electric distribution. And you're talking about even these super chargers, what they're talking about. It's taking 45 minutes to give you 80% capacity on these big trucks. Now that's pretty efficient, but you're not going to have those superchargers uh, dotted all through the countryside. I mean, you're going to have maybe a regular charger, but those superchargers that the big trucks need, they're going to be very sparse. They're not going to be just everywhere, so these truckers can refuel and everything. Yeah, and that's the thing about it, Jeff. Right now, the cost factor when you're having to use coal and diesel and uh, nuclear to supply the electricity, then we're still not we're still using our natural resources, and until we can get solar uh, taking care of of the battery supply. And the other thing, we're having to mine all these minerals and everything too. So environmentally, it is not better like they tout it to be. I mean, they want, in a perfect world, it would be, but we don't have a perfect world. I mean, you're having to mine these minerals and everything with you know big heavy machinery that takes diesel fuel. You're having to when you extract all that from the ground, you're extracting natural resources too. So, nothing's free in this world on that. I mean, these people that seem to think that we're going to get all this for free and we're going to, the sun's going to provide everything. So you won't be using your natural resources. Well, they're just fooling themselves. They're just fooling themselves. Hey, Walter. Yeah, I know it. I don't I don't mind the migration of some of the electric tools. I've got a lot of electric tools. I've got all these DeWalt power tools and Milwaukee power tools. Uh, I love them. I like them. They do a great job. Portability of them is good. I've got an electric lawnmower. I've got a zero turn electric lawnmower. Actually, I got two of them, and I like them because they're easy on me. I mean, I don't have to uh, do a lot of maintenance like I used to on the others. But they do have some bad situations too. I mean, once you use them, you have to let them charge for 3 or 4 hours. I mean, I can get a couple hours use. Now I have to kind of gear what I want to do. I mean, I can get 2 or 3 hours use out of them, and then I have to recharge them. So it's not a all day thing. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it productively. I couldn't have a business unless I had a lot of portable power packs that I could replace it with. So on the mowing side, but for me here down on the farm, it's fine. And I've got my other stuff to supplement me, my gas and diesel mowers, mainly my diesel mowers, on my tool cat and my bobcat and different things like that. But uh, to do the little tidy end work, I don't mind it. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of old stuff like that. Yeah, they don't want the cheapest thing, Jerome. Yeah, I've seen that one too, where the guy drives on water and everything like that. Uh, eh, too much of stuff, too many things. I think basically they were extracting the hydrogen out of the water is what they were doing, and and running the car off hydrogen. And that never caught on because, of course, it was water, and of course, it didn't use the minerals and the resources that fuel people. There's a lot of huge technology behind everything, and we can't get rid of everything. I mean, we have plenty of resources for hundreds of years, uh, and people say, "Well, what are we going to do when we run out?" By then, we'll have newer technology, and by then, I mean, when you think back about it, I mean, everybody was using kerosene lanterns uh, in the turn of the century. We weren't using electric. We weren't using. We were using a different resource till something new came along. I mean, you go back and you study. That's how John D. Rockefeller got rich with Standard Oil because he monopolized the oil industry, and he sold you your fuel oil. Uh, I mean, your kerosene and everything to get your lamps. And he hated when the electricity came about because that took a huge market away from him. And, so you got that. Then you got, I mean, there was at the turn of the century, we had 4 or 5 people. And the turn of from the 19 to the 2000s, we had about 4 or 5 people that were ruling everything. Now here we are at the turn of the next century, and what have we got? We've got 4 or 5 huge billionaires controlling everything again. I mean, you got Elon Musk and Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos, and then you got the people at BlackRock, and that's the evil people. The ones that scare me is the ones that are trying to change the dynamics of our social networks and our financial networks. I mean, they want to be able. BlackRock needs to be broken up. BlackRock is too big of an entity to control all this ESG and everything else. They need to be broken up as a monopoly because you got one guy uh, that is controlling too many things out there, and he wants you to adhere to his liking, or you don't get his funding and everything else. And they do trillions of dollars worth of. I mean, that's the problem. They don't control billions. They control trillions of dollars at BlackRock and Vanguard and some of these others. You got 3 or 4 of these huge uh, financial organizations that they control tons. I mean, billionaires don't scare them because they're stronger than the billionaires. But we, as a government, we got to be able to control that because they are definitely getting too big for their britches, and they're getting worldwide. And if they don't control them now, I think they're going to get too big worldwide, and they'll be telling the world what to do, and that's a scary thought. That's a scary thought for sure. Oh yeah, yeah. They'll put the tax on the EVs and everything, Walter. I mean, that's coming. Right now, they want as many people as they can to use the EVs, but yeah, they're going to start checking your mileage and everything like that. So if you run 100,000 miles, they're going to go back and assess you a tax, uh, a mileage tax for how many miles you've run in the states. It's going to be just like the truckers. You're going to end up having to give a mileage report or whatever, and send that money back to each individual state. You wait and see. That's going to happen on the EVs. Yeah, well, I mean, there's always change out there, and this ESG and all this other crap that BlackRock and some of them are pushing. We better watch it. That's the next scary thing that's coming down the pipeline. It's when they start controlling us instead of us controlling them. I mean, they have gotten too big, in my opinion. not to be controlled in some way. So Vanguard and BlackRock and all these people, they're the ones that control the money. And you've got all the big oil companies and everybody else that's having to borrow money, and they're having to borrow from BlackRock and some of these venture capitalists because they control the purse strings of the banks and everything else. So when they're on all these boards and everything else, and they can control that, that's too scary. And that's what we've got right now. And we need to rein that in and put that under control a lot more than we have. I mean, it's a scary proposition when you got just 4 or 5 people, and that's the World Federation type thing that they meet in Davos or Devos. I don't know where it is out in the where all the millionaires get together. I mean, that's a scary organization too, and that the U.S. does not need to be involved with that. I mean, we've got to be able to control our own destiny, and right now we're letting just a few people between that and the military complex, the military industrial complex, and the drug cartels and the drug I say drug cartels. I mean, you're actually your pharmaceuticals and everything. They're all conspiring to make us make the average person controllable, and that's a scary thought when they go in there and they control the narrative of what we have to be able to do. And we got everybody in the United States got a little bit of taste of that when this pandemic came through, and the government was telling us what to do. I mean, we don't need the government mandating that we can go to work, can't go to work, that you wear a mask, don't wear a mask, take a shot, don't take a shot. We need to be free to be able to do what we want to do. And these pandemics and crazy crap like that, we need to watch it. I mean, think about it. Think how open and free we are getting to be again just in the past year. Since most people realize now that this pandemic is not what they said it was. I mean, it was bad, but we didn't need to lock everything down like they tried to do it. Florida didn't lock everything down, and Florida came out just fine. And other places, I mean, for the elderly, and I'm one of the elderly, we have to take a little bit extra precaution. But, my 18-year-old grandson, he doesn't need to be having shots. And other people like that, they're healthy. They don't need to be having these shots. They've already showed where, I mean, look at these athletes that are having heart attacks in their 20s and stuff like that. I mean, that there's some correlation in between there that some of this was not good. And even I kind of attest to that too. I had 3 booster shots. I mean, I had 3 shots. I had 2 of the regular shots and a booster. And after that booster, I had a blockage that came back. And I think it was because of the inflammation and everything that caused, because I didn't have any problem until I got that booster shot. And I went to my doctor just a month or so after that, and I told my regular doctor, I said, something's wrong. I said, I can't breathe as good as I used to. And then I had my cardiologist checked me, and of course, one of the blockages had come back. And he said, well, that's normal sometimes. And I contributed to the reason is because of the inflammation and everything else that myocarditis or what I can't pronounce the name of that disease, but I kind of contributed to that. That's why I had my problems. But I'm not a doctor. I can't say 100%. But the relationship and the time and the timing of that was very suspicious. And you know, you can kind of put two and two together yourself. Now the doctors didn't want to say that totally because, well, of course, my regular doctor, he sort of agreed with me on that. My cardiologist, he kind of goes, I can't really say, and all that sort of stuff. And then they want to fluff it off and say, well, you just need to go get more exercise and everything. Well, it's not that easy. Uh, I mean, I can't get out and do as many things I used to do. And so I have to kind of live with what I got. Yeah. That's what Jeff just wrote out. Myocarditis, ditis. Well, yeah, I know it. Until they started, I never heard of it either until they started getting that. And then you hear more and more cases of that. And, you know, something to be thought about. Hey, Mac Jones, how are you? Doing good, doing good. Oh, is Renegade? Hey, Renegade. Yeah, there's Renegade in here. Hope you're doing all right. Renegade's got a good channel on Tuesdays and Fridays. Y'all check him out if you can. He gets out there and reviews different things that he's been doing, and then like all of us on the live broadcast, we'll kind of chit chat back and forth and that sort of stuff. So to do that, but you know, everybody's got to realize on their health what they will and won't want to do. And I think if they try to shut down the United States again, that it'll be tough. It'll be tough to do. Yeah, I'm going to give a shout out to Dirt Boss Mike, Tri County Masonry and everything. This is his hat. Mike gave me this hat when I was up in Albany a couple of weeks ago visiting. I visited him and Joey. I hadn't seen Joey on here this morning. I don't know where Joey is. Is Joey? Yeah, there's Joey. Okay, Joey's in here. But I went up to see Joey and Mike, and got a good meal while I was up there, and we had a good conversation and fellowship and everything. Yeah, the overreach of a lot of this, of the counties and the states and everything else, it wasn't too bad in the state of North Carolina. We got a very liberal governor, which I hope we get out this next time. And if we can get rid of him and get somebody better, I think we'll be in good shape. We the House and Senate are controlled by the conservatives, so we're not doing too bad in North Carolina on that. So the governor can't push too many crazy things through. They can knock him down pretty good. But he tried to lock down things, and thank goodness the legislature wouldn't let him do too much of it. But he locked down enough during the pandemic. No, we can't handle being shut down again. I mean, if they did it immediately in any way, shape, or form, it would be tough. It would be really tough. I mean, we got 22,000 union employees for Yella that are out of work, and another 10,000, non-union and boss men and everything else in the shops and wherever that are shut down from them. But 22,000 Teamsters. But sometimes, I mean, that shows you. I mean, Teamsters is a tough organization. I mean, they fight good for the employee, but sometimes when you push too hard, you can push somebody out of business, and that's what they've done with Yellow. I mean, Yellow has been struggling. Yellow's tried to reorganize. They bought out a roadway and just a lot of different things. Tried to beef themselves up and be a real strong company, a low cost provider, and it bit them. they couldn't handle it, and it, you know, they they say through mismanagement, I think, but it wasn't just mismanagement. I think it was uh, mismanagement, maybe some, and the mismanagement of the way the union handles that too. I mean, you can only, or like you're saying, you can't get blood out of a tournament. Turn up, not a tournament. Turn up. Can't speak this morning. Um, so if you're not making the funds and you're not getting the revenue, you can't pay out the high salaries and everything. And that's what Yella was fighting for the longest time, trying to be the low cost LTL provider. And you can't compete with a non-union company and be a low cost. I mean, they were competing with Old Dominion. Old Dominion's not union. Old Dominion doesn't have. I mean, they're running strong, and they can be a semi low cost provider and make money because they don't have the expenses that Yellow had. And it is what it is. I mean, if you get proficient and you provide for your customers really good, uh, then you're gonna rise to the top. And evidently, Yellow wasn't doing that. So it was a mixture of the union and mismanagement that brought that company down. And now, they're going to have to live with what they can live with. Okay, I'm trying to read the stories and on here. Yeah, I mean it is what it is with this, and I hate it for all these. Yeah, okay, I was trying to figure that one out, Jeff, but and look what happened out in California with that car emission stuff. They put some older businesses just out of business. Some people that were in the logging business and mining and dump truck business. California just came in with their new regulation a few years ago and just basically put those people out of business. They were trying to make them put on these uh, add-on systems and was tearing their trucks up and they wanted people that had these millions of dollars worth of older equipment to go out and buy millions of dollars worth of new equipment, and they couldn't afford to do it and stay in business, and that's what happened. Oh yeah, I know it, Jeff. I don't envy anybody that lives in California. Uh, California could be a great state, and people like Gavin Newsom have ruined that state, along with Nancy Pelosi and some of the others and Maxine Waters and some of those crazy Democrats like that. And of course, Adam Schiff. I can't. I like to misspell his name a lot because Adam Schiff is shifty shift. Uh, I don't see how they keep reelecting that dude. I mean, he's I mean totally lied for 4 years about Trump and brought up and all these charges and everything, and would just get in front of the TV set and say, "Oh yeah, I've seen the reports. We've got him doing this, we got him doing that," and it was a total fabrication, and they had none of that. Yeah, yeah, you got to. There's definitely some good people out there. Of course, uh, the leader of the House is from California, and there's a couple other good ones out there. But gosh, I mean, for the ones that we have to put up with, that we see all the time, like I said, with Gavin Newsom and Maxine Waters and Adam Schiff and all those, man, we could do without those people. That's for sure. What's on everybody's mind? I've kind of spilled what was on my mind. I'm kind of sitting up here in the shop. We're working on this skid steer back here. We had a cylinder to go out on it. I'll get out where you can see where we got the bucket underneath the cylinder there. I was working with it last week, and just it started gushing out hydraulic fluid and everything. So I had to bring it in and go get a seal kit and get a special tool to get the seal off. I didn't have that tool, so I had to order the tool to get the seal off. Got that, and then we got the new nut and everything. And I'm gonna have to either heat that nut or something, I don't know, to get it off, because they've got a bunch of Loctite and everything else on that nut. I guess when they put it in from the factory, and you can't get that nut off there hardly. So we're gonna have to really work to get that off and reseal and repack that. But that's the life of just working with equipment. No big deal, and just something like I told Jimmy, job security. So he's got plenty of work we have to do around here. We've been working on that, and we finished up all the trees this past week. They finished up on Wednesday. So well, they didn't work Tuesday. They had a sickness in the family. So they worked about a day and a half to finish up what we had left out here. We had a few acres over here that we try to get a little bit of production out of, and that's going to be it. But all in all, they did pretty good. Now I got the big cleanup. I'll have to show everybody one time what the big cleanup's going to be, because going down my road here to my house, we kind of want to make that look a lot better. Over here where we got 25 acres by itself and nobody sees it, I'm not going to worry about it. We're just going to resow it and let whatever underbrush and everything's out there just kind of rot away and kind of feed the forest, you might say. And that's what they tell me to do. I asked them, I said, what do we need to go in there and stump that, pull the stumps up and stuff like that? And they said, no, they'll rot away. I said, time you plant other trees in there, and said, think about it. You're not going to be planting them that close together. So there's plenty of room to plant more trees. And, the cleanup doesn't have to be that much, and they'll go in there and just resow new trees, and we'll go for it. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to resow it and get what we can get out of it. And, in 25, 30 years, my grandson can probably get something out of it. It won't be me. But that's exactly what my father-in-law said when he planted these. I was a young man, and that's what he said. I said, well, what are you planting those for? I said, you won't live to see them mature. He said, I didn't intend to. He said, that's for y'all's generation. He said, I'm planting these trees for y'all. And he said, maybe y'all can make some money. And he was right. Fortunately for us, my wife and I bought the farm. So we bought the farmland down here from the rest of the siblings. So now we're able to benefit and get the money off of logging this property and everything. So that's worked out good for us. And that's helping, pay back what we spent on acquiring the farm. I haven't seen the other Patrick in there for a while, Patrick. I see him on Facebook, but he's over in Austria, and he hasn't been on here in probably 3 or 4 weeks. He used to be on here regular, and he's stopped dropping by. I don't know why. I mean, he's a young boy. I mean, he can change his likes and dislikes, I guess. But he hadn't gotten on here as much as he used to. He was having some issues, I think. I don't know exactly how to say it, but he was the way he was talking the last few times. He was having some personal issues, and I hope he's got that straightened out. And if he did, that's great. And if he hadn't, maybe he'll get it straightened out. But I hate to see anybody being like a little bit of a funk or a depression or anything like that. And he was sort of having a little bit of that. Yeah, I do too. I hope all's well with him, and uh, so we'll keep him in our thoughts and everything, and hopefully he'll jump back in here one day and kind of uh, talk to us and everything. Yeah, I get the ones overseas like that. I mean, Patrick, and then of course we got Zach down in New Zealand, and it's either New Zealand or Australia. I can't, and he'll have to forgive me, but he's down under, and he jumps in here and uh, we'll chat with him every once in a while. And of course, I see him on Facebook too. I kind of chat with him on Facebook and that sort of stuff. So I try to keep up with the guys on Facebook and YouTube and different channels that I'm on. And like Joey and I will chat. Joey called me the other day. I never know about Joey. Joey started calling me out of the blue when I was doing my podcast from the Napa store years ago. I mean, I was doing it and somebody was ringing into the store, and I go, "Who's ringing my store this time of the morning? They should know that I'm closed." And it was Joey. So Joey got a big laugh out of all that and that sort of stuff. So we got all kind of different personalities out here, and I enjoy it, and I enjoy meeting everybody and chatting with everybody and getting to know everybody that I can. I mean, I feel like I have a one-on-one with a lot of people, and I enjoy that. I get a lot of the same people in every Sunday, and uh, getting to chat with them is an enjoyable thing for me. And getting a lot of new ones too. We get a lot of new people in, so it's uh, seeing the familiar faces or hearing the familiar chats and everything, and then sometimes getting to see some of these people. I get to meet some, and some people have some podcasts of their own, and just a lot of different things like that. So it's an interesting world out there, and that sort of stuff. And I like getting different ideas back and forth amongst us and everything. Yeah, well, I know a lot of people have gotten off Facebook, and I don't talk much on Facebook. I kind of click through it and see my local friends. I use Facebook more as a local channel as opposed to YouTube is more of a worldwide national channel. I mean, I get a lot of comments from all over on YouTube. On Facebook, it's more local to my local hometown. I mean, I've got a few people from out of town and everything that's on there too that I converse with, but primarily local family and friends of my local town is what my Facebook account is about. And of course, you can get some crazies in it too. Uh, uh, because I'm in a small town, it's 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 a little bit different because I know most of the people that run the government. I know most of the people that run the businesses personally. So it's a closer knit community on my Facebook page than most entities out there. And so I kind of like that, but I don't project myself too much on Facebook. I'm more of a, a receiver, you might say. I listen and view things on it. Now, every once in a while, I'll get on the sort of community chat and I'll put my 2 cents worth in and argue with somebody or stuff like that. Especially during the political times, I'd really got hot and heavy with some things. Uh, I don't know if I'll do that this next election. I just don't know. I don't know if it does me any good or not. I might just watch and see. Um, but Facebook, it's a love-hate relationship, you might say. So I don't worry about it much. Well, guys, I'm about talked out. I've been on here about 40, 50 minutes. I'm about talked out for this morning. It's a little bit hot here in the shop too, and I don't want to stick around all morning long. So I hope y'all understand. I've kind of got my saying for what I want to say today about the inflation of the fuel and trucking and just different things of what I was talking about. And hopefully, y'all are fine with that. I'm gonna head on out. Y'all have a good rest of the Sunday, and I'll see you here next Sunday. And hopefully, I'm gonna get a few things. I'm gonna put out some videos. I keep saying that, but I've got a good many videos I need to get out. So I'll see you around, guys. See you, Renegade.